Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not, and it's time to finally look. It's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm recording this. I really wanted this to be earlier, but I was tired. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I was tired. I slept, kind of went off and on. I had breakfast, and then I'm sitting on the couch. I'm kind of dozing on and off, and I knew I was tired, so I didn't put a movie in because if I did, you know. And even though this is the Blu-ray, I actually watched this on Tubi because I planned on putting it on my phone and playing video game. I ended up sitting through the whole movie on Tubi, so I don't know why I didn't just watch it on here. But Hancock came out in 2008. Before I talk about the movie, there's something I need to talk about that I haven't acknowledged on the channel as of yet. Will Smith. I'm not going to go all the way into it, but about a month or so ago, there was an incident at the Oscars of Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, right? Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, saying, "Hey, Jada," because she's bald, "Hey, Jada, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait for the movie." And then Will Smith got up and slapped him. Now, I'm in no way defending Will Smith for what he did. Or I should say, I'm no way endorsing Will Smith for what he did, but I am defending him because it's not entirely his fault. Everybody keeps blaming him. He's getting kicked out of the academy. He's losing film roles. Why? For defending his wife? For doing what his wife told him to do? Many thanks, she's the one. I've rewatched this footage, God, I don't know how many times now, and it's very plain and simple to me. Chris Rock made the joke. He's like, "Hey, Jada, looking good. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait for the movie." And you see Will Smith laugh, but then you see Jada give him the Emperor Palpatine did it look. And that's when he gets up and slaps her. And then he makes a big deal about it. Why? Because if he didn't, his wife was going to be pissed. I ain't married, but if you were in a situation, you got to stand up for your wife, right? He was laughing about it. He was laughing about the joke until he realized that Jada wasn't, was pissed off about it. So he had to do something. He did it because of her. Because she gave him that Emperor Palpatine dead look. It's not 100% him. It's that fine line that you walk as a married man. Someone makes fun of your wife. If they're offended by it, you gotta do something about it. But yes, all things aside, he should have waited until after Chris Rock was done presenting. Took him aside and said, "Hey man, that joke, I laughed. Jay didn't like it. Can you just apologize to him, man? Please?" She found it offensive. Can you just please apologize to her? That's what he should have done. He should not have up there and slap him. I'm on Chris Rock's side with this. People are like, "Oh, he shouldn't have made that joke." The whole thing about her. She has alopecia, which means she's losing her hair and stuff. Her hair, know how much hair up there. I get it. But she's always had short hair. In almost everything that she's been in, she's had short hair. Right? So I don't understand why she got so offended. She's always had short hair. But she was almost completely bald. Yeah, Jane too. It was a funny joke. I'm just saying. But we're moving on now. We're talking about Hancock, a movie that came out in 2008, and it's one of a handful of original superhero movies. Every superhero movies nowadays that come out are based on a comic book. This is one of the few original ones, not based on any comic book, but just its own thing. Off the top of my head, I don't know if I can remember any other one. I know there is. I think Super, the James Gunn one, Super, Brightburn. Brightburn's more of a anti-hero story. And it is sort of stealing from Superman, so I can't really say Brightburn, but Super, Defendor, that's an original superhero movie. Kind of a weird one, but Woody Harrelson's in it, so, you know. But yeah, tells the story of Hancock, a drunk, superpowered person who happens to run into a man named Ray who sees this as a PR opportunity to help Hancock become the hero he knows he can be. Meanwhile, he meets Ray's wife, and it soon begins to realize that there's something about her that is unknown to both him and Ray, and it's going to come crashing down. So the biggest criticism I have for this film is the villains. The villains are a last minute thing. Throughout the film, he's just stopping robberies and everything. And the villains are an amalgamation of two different kind of antagonists that he has. There is, when he goes to prison, he is approached by these two guys. He's like, I'm going to take your ass, I'm going to put it up his ass. And he does that. We see it. Which movies, honestly, you don't think they're going to have the ball to show up. But they do. Like, not show him putting his head in there, but it does it. It's very quick, and then you just see him sticking out the guy's ass. It's funny. Those are two of them. And the other one is a guy, played by Eddie Marsan, who he stops in a robbery, by cutting off his hand. And they just show up at the end of the film as the villains, and it's very weak. Honestly, I remember when I saw this, I thought that Charlize Theron's character was going to be the villain because of just the way things were going. But then the twist happens, and you're like, okay, this is not the villain. It feels like when they wrote this film, they thought of all the emotional beats to take the characters through it, and they're like, oh, we need a climax, but we don't have actual villains in this film. We have minor antagonists. Or let's take the two guys who he shoved the one guy's head up his ass and pair him with the guy who cut his hand off, and they can be the villains. And they just show up at the hospital out of fucking nowhere. I don't know. It's honestly very confusing. It's my biggest criticism. I mean, you gotta love a movie where a superpowered Will Smith throws little Michael Myers, Dave Fairch, up into the air for calling him an asshole. Call me asshole one more time. Michael wasn't happy, but that was funny. The Dave Fairch. Which this came out a year after Rob Zombie's Halloween, which I don't hate anymore. I think it's fine. Second half, the first half is just if you can make it past the first half of Rob Zombie's Halloween, I think you'll finish the movie. But Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I gave that one a second try, and never again. Anyway, yes. So, yeah, we don't actually get Hancock's story until like midway through the film, really. And another thing I'm going to criticize is Charlize Theron's acting. Not that it's bad, it's too good. It's too good. Now, I went in knowing the twist, but if you don't know the twist, I'm going to ask you, first of all, to stop watching this video if you don't know the twist. Because I'm about to spoil it, but also if you don't know the twist, do not pay attention to Charlize Theron during the scenes where Hancock is around. It is too obvious. Her acting is too good, and it ruins it for me. I'm watching every time that she's around Hancock, I'm like, man, it's so obvious. What? Especially in the scene where he's telling his origin story, basically. Where he woke up in the hospital 80 years earlier with 2 tickets to Frankenstein. So it must have been an after, like, okay, 2 tickets to Frankenstein. That came out in 1931. If this was 80 years earlier, it would have been 1938, right? 80 years. This take place in 2008. Hold on. I need my other phone for this. Hold on. I can't do big math like that in my head. No yelling around the screen. Hey, it's this! Okay, so go to calculator here. 2008 minus 80 years, 1928. How does he have 2 tickets for Frankenstein if it's 1928? That doesn't make any sense. Unless he rounded up with 80. And it's really like 77. I don't know. Yeah. 1931. 77. It was really like 77, and he rounded up to 80, which would make more sense. I don't know. Frankenstein came out. I don't think there was any other Frankenstein before that. I don't know. Or maybe this takes place in 2012? That'd still be 80 years? I think it would be. That'd be 19th. Hold on. 2012 minus 80. 1932. So this takes place in 2011. It's coming out in 2008, right? Okay, I'm double checking. This came out in 2011. I can't do it, but I don't know. It's just very confusing. So he tells the story that he just woke up in the hospital with no memory. What happened? He had an injury on his skull, caused amnesia, and he healed up. He had these powers. He figured he was normal before that, and then got these powers in some way, shape, or form. And as for the name Hancock, well, he didn't know who he was. So when the nurse or whatever said to put his John Hancock down, that's what he wrote. Which is a stupid way to explain his name, but it is kind of funny. But if you watch Charlize Theron in this film, in this scene, you can tell she had something to do with this. Just the look on her face, she even sheds a tear. And you're like, oh, okay, she knows something. And then they ruin it by having a reveal where Ray is drunk, puts him upstairs, and then he goes downstairs, they talk. They're about to kiss. And again, like, I have to question, because, like, the next day he's like, oh, you don't kiss like that if you're just brother and sister. I'm like, you barely kissed, first of all. But he goes to kiss her, and he gets flung out the window. And I always thought this was a bad way to reveal the truth. Like, it's like, okay, why can't we have a scene where she confronts him? Like, you need to leave. You need to leave Ray alone. Because she keeps trying to hinting at him. And maybe this was the last straw. But, like, she obviously didn't think about it beforehand because there's like a big hole in the side of her house now. And the only thing she can come up with is that Hancock sneezed. It does lead to a funny moment though when Hancock comes back and Ray's on the phone and he takes like a little. There's like several things. There's like a little skewer thing and it bends on her. And he takes a rolling pin, breaks it on her back, and he takes 2 frying pans, smash her upside the head with them, but she stops him, and it's around here. So, we need to talk. Come to my trailer. So they have a talk where she first explains to their brother and sister, but they get into a fight where she's wearing this kind of uniform, and speaking of uniforms, before I go. The uniform that Hancock wears, there it is. It's very much 2000 X-Men uniform with shades. They didn't really put much effort into that, I don't think. But, yeah, because he goes to jail. It's part of Ray's PR operation. Say, hey, maybe we can build up something with the people. And he goes to jail, and then crime starts to spike, because of course it does. So eventually he gets called by the chief of police to come help out. So he does, He stops that guy by cutting off his hand and saves the day. And then doesn't go back to jail. And there's no reason given. There's not even things like, I've punished for all his crimes for saving the day. He's just out and about walking around now. For some reason. And I want to... So yeah, they have the little fight, and I remember thinking when I first saw this, okay, she's the big bad villain because she wants to have a normal life and he's ruining it, so she's going to beat the crap out of him. With tornadoes showing up, does she create them, or is it their combined forces doing it? But no, because it ends and they go back to the house. She explains they're actually husband and wife. There's also another story that Ray was saying, because he asked how they met. When I was watching this, I was thinking, they didn't, like, okay, so I forgot the specifics of Ray's story. So as I was getting ready to watch this, I was thinking about talking about if they did a sequel, they should have revealed about Aaron's powers because he's her son. But I forgot about Ray's story where it was told that he was married before and Aaron was actually his first wife's child and she died in childbirth with him. Oh, okay, well now I have no ideas for a sequel if they did one. And that was another thing too that I was wondering before rewatching. It's like, how come the kid never had any powers? Well, because it's not her son, that's why. Yeah. And so then we get like, he decides to go back to drinking. And really the climax is kind of meh for me. Because he goes to the liquor store. When he rings up, the guy goes, 9110. That's a lot for alcohol. 9110, he puts his finger over the 0, 911, and he realizes, oh, someone's robbing him, pulls him out. He's like, my Zagnut bar versus your gun. And even though the gun technically does win because it shoots him, because I don't know what he was trying to do, but like the gun shoots him and he throws the Zagnut, knocks him out with the Zagnut bar or something. But he finds out the gunshot wound. Yes, he has a gunshot wound. And so he's rushed to the hospital. And it's revealed that the longer that those two stay together, the more normal they become. And she reveals, even though she is the stronger one, apparently they try to... bad guys or whatever always come after her to get to him. Now, this would have been something if there was actual villains, like another superpowered person who was out for revenge and is always going after her, and then they split up and go separate ways and always get drawn back together. That's a thing. Although they kind of stole that from the Hawk people, Hawkman and Hawk Girl. I'm just saying. Although that's reincarnation, they're just immortal. So was Vandal Savage. But I digress. So yeah, the climax is that one-handed Eddie Marsan shows up with the stick your head up his ass people and starts shooting, and they shoot her, and so he sort of has strength and he's fighting them, and then he decides to fly away to get farther from her. So she gets her powers back and he gets full power and flies away, and we end with Ray and her and the kid walking, and he gets a call from Hancock. Well, yeah, I was trying to call you. Oh, I was out of cell service. And he reveals that he put Ray's little heart logo on the moon, which has to be illegal somewhere. And yeah, movie ends. Like I said, I think it would have been it feels like they were writing this like, hey, we don't have a main villain. Well, let's just throw those three guys that he wronged earlier in the film as the villains. Especially when she says, they always come after me to get to you. So why isn't there a recurring villain that keeps showing up? Another immortal that's out for revenge or something. Like you could have had this, this guy had a happy life with his other person, but they were human, and Hancock stepped in and saved the day, but she was killed, and so now he's superpowered again, and he has revenge on his mind, and he goes after her, but they separate. so you can't find him. But somehow when they get closer together, there's some energy dispersal, and he's able to track them or something. Something like that. Not just, oh, we gotta throw these guys in there as villains because they were wronged earlier in the film. I don't. But as it stands, I think it's a decent film. I'm gonna give it a middle of the road. Not bad. I think Will Smith has a good performance. Charlize Theron, like I said, very good. Too good. Jason Bateman is great. You know, not bad. So let's roll the dice and see what we get next. That's a 5. Isn't that what I got last time? A 5? Alright. I swear they're not loaded. You gave me loaded dice? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. Open it up. Tuju. Eagle Eye. Eagle Eye. Eagle Eye. Okay, just so you know what that is. Pull it out. Shia LaBeouf. Eagle Eye. Alright. Both from 2008. Kind of weird. So, what are your thoughts on Hancock? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.